It started. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen and then I think I will also share audio because I feel like I need, since we're going to do something with Gemini as well today, I do want you to hear the audio of it. First of all, I would like to start off by going through a couple of very important things and sort of answering one or two questions from someone who's asked about something regarding your agent. So I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, regarding the classwork or classroom section, you already know that you have access to the Google Classroom to keep things organized, right? So here there are two parts, or should I say 3 parts, of Google Classroom for lesson 2. The first part is where you get the first part of the lesson, and then you get the class notes. The second part is where you get the second part of the lesson, because I felt we needed to move a little bit more ahead. And then also there is the part that explains how you're going to post learning to your lesson to learning journey. I think I've already seen maybe 2 or 3 people kind of post it correctly. So I'm not really sure if it's the, maybe you didn't see this, but I think we've sort of emphasized that it is really important that you need to go through the posts and publications very clearly. Now, this picture right here, actually not, this was one of them. This is the actual picture of the app, which is the stage where we are right now. And if you're not in this stage, then you have to go and read the previous things, the previous notes that we sent. I kind of want to show you this one, which I think I have to download. Let me see if I have to download this and so it was the picture that was having to do with the lesson 2 learning journey. And the picture was sort of related to real life because these are actually, for example, my cats outside my door. There are some stray cats that come into the neighborhood. And it was related to sort of this part of coding. When you code and when you want to stand out, coding doesn't only relate to just creating code and just developing. It also relates to a lot of creativity to stand out as a software developer, as a software engineer, or you just become this generic software developer and software engineer that, most companies don't want to hire. If you're a programmer, if you're a developer engineer, you kind of need to take the context of what you're programming into a realistic situation, into real life, into things around you, things that happen in an instant, pictures that you take, places that you visit, video clips that you make. Everything needs to be revolving around the way you code. It's just like a signature, and you have your own unique signature that makes you different from another coder. So why are we telling you to post learning journeys? Because people out there, especially in terms of the networking that you're getting or you're going to be getting since you're doing this Code Hills program, they watch and see what you're posting. And so if you're posting a generic post and you're just going and generating images and putting things there that you haven't done yourself and just writing the regular stuff, it doesn't really make you stand out. And you probably notice, I want you to go and check some of your classmates. I don't want to call any names, but check some of your classmates' posts that actually post and do stuff according to how we directed the post to go, and see how many likes and how many reviews and things, people that have actually come and looked at the post and giving you a like or giving you a clap or something, and then compare it to a generic post. And so that's what I'm saying, that the reason we asked you to do lesson 2 learning journey is to take a real life situation and relate it to your status of your Code Hills app based on what we're doing in class. Right? So what we're doing is a completely unique step of taking coding from complexity to simple technique. And this works for anybody pretty much, both people who know coding and people who don't know anything about coding. So the idea was these stray cats coming into this neighborhood, and we have them all the time coming, like some stray cats that they come in from different parts of the area. And when they come in, they're new, they have to accustom to the environment. You guys know how cats are. There are cats that belong to that place, or they usually stay in front of my door, for example. You can say those cats are familiar, so they log in, right? They come in, they already know where to get the milk, they know where to get the food in front of the door. And then these new ones come in, and so the ones that are there have to familiarize with the new ones, and the new ones have to familiarize with them looking. So that's kind of like, you need to sign up. You need to get and join into the group. People need to know you. You know, you need to be part of this group so that you can actually have access to drink milk or to eat or whatnot. So you see how the brain should be working when you're looking at things around you. You should always relate them, not just to Code Hills, but to anything you're doing. That's how you build your creativity if you want to become a creative developer. So again, brings me back to, again, generic posts. You're not going to get any score for that if we're going to be scoring you on generic posts, even if you post. So when you post, you need to read the instruction. You need to understand. Somebody was putting like a door, a lock, a picture of that. That makes sense, because to be able to access a door, you need to unlock it. You need to have a key or something. So that also relates to signing up. And then when you do have the key, you're sort of used to entering that place. Somebody else puts in place like a brick wall or a brick of cement, and that was like leading to a farm where perhaps you could plant and whatnot. There's so many kind of situations. So I'm just saying, be creative. Going back into the lesson 2, now I'm going to go back. That was what you needed to submit, right? And I think the deadline for this in the quiz is today. So if you haven't done the quiz, I mean, I think on an average, based on the scores I've seen for the quiz, I think on an average, the quiz is being done pretty well. I think everyone is getting, obviously understanding the concept, and that's a good thing. I'm quite happy with that. So, but then again, we have a problem of signing in and turning in. So I don't know why we still have this problem though. When you do a quiz, you don't need to upload anything. You just need to come back here and you just need to turn in, and that's all you have to do, nothing more, nothing less. But you have to turn it in. So it's a 50-50. Anytime an assignment is done and a learning journey is required, it's 50% of each that actually makes up the grading component for that particular lesson. Okay, I'm going to move on because of the time. So please make sure you are doing things according to guidelines. Use your creativity and intuition always. Look at things around you and always keep them safe in your brain and memory. And also do like a photographer who's creative. Just take a picture, take a video clip where you see things that maybe I might use that later on. You never know, nothing is useless, right? So going back to now, first of all, let me just go back to the attendance so that I don't miss this. And then I'll come back to what we announced a couple of, a few minutes or a few hours before this class, and then move into the lesson for today. So the attendance for lesson 3 today is out. I think it's being shared by everybody who's supposed to be here, or maybe not, unfortunately. Well, that's okay. I will give you guys the link in the classroom, but don't think about giving this link to anyone else or sharing it again. I probably need, let me see if I need to give it as an anyone with a link. I feel like anyone with the link can actually come and do this. So let me just put it in here. Usually your emails are going to be there, but I'm not sure. I didn't see it. So here is the, oh, sorry about that, guys. I want to give you guys the link. Let me copy the link for the attendance, because this is really important. We really need to take attendance. So let me copy it. Oh, now I know why it's not. You guys can't have it because it's probably not published, I guess. Yeah, so let me publish it. Okay, I think it is published, but I don't think it's still, it's still not shared with everyone, but you can have the link. So I'll give it to you on chat and you can be able to come in and do your attendance. So if you're here, please go and fill that up and put your name, and don't share it with anyone who's not here. So thank you for attendance. Now moving on to Kaik. I think we sent a very quick notification right later. There were a lot of notifications and a lot of polls so far. So I hope you are going through and taking the time to actually read what is there, and then understand what you need to do. So one of them was for Kigali Agribusiness Center Agribusiness Incubation Center. So we recently, with Women in Tech, Miss Margot LaRusso, which you guys know is the country director, and the Women in Tech team in Rwanda, they were able to get in touch with several, should I say, agricultural companies in Rwanda. And the reason is, if you're wondering why agriculture, well, because your app is sort of based on, it's not completely based on agriculture, but it's based on creating these ideas, these complete bespoke, not AI generated bespoke. Yes, AI, but bespoke from you. sort of guiding through how you're going to create this complete business plan and content for these startup founders in Rwanda and people outside of Rwanda that want to do business in Rwanda, from Rwanda, in Rwanda, and outside, exporting to other places around the world. So anyways, these resources that we are looking at, the 6 resources, and I'm going to show you again today because you keep hearing me saying 6 resources. 6. I did say that there are 6 primary resources that this app is based on, but you can also add your own resources. That's why the app is extendable. That's why we create software, because you can extend, you can modify, you can refine. So the 6 primary resources, you need to see them live. You probably have seen them, but you need to hear the marketing connections and solutions and the training and mentorship around these resources in Rwanda. So Kigali Agribusiness Incubation Center's managing director and co-founder, Mr. Francois Javier, responded to us and was quite enthusiastic to be able to explain and showcase some of these abundant resources that are in Rwanda to you guys. And so we're very grateful to Kigali Agribusiness Incubation Center for doing that, because it really brings and it really connects, especially for those of you that are actually going to do the smart business, right? You are developers. Yes. You create software. Yes. But you have to connect your smart development of what you create into these resources to make them smart resources that can become business plan, right? If you understand what I mean. So it can be as simple as creating, even a smart shoe, right? And that shoe is actually coming from a natural resource that instead of throwing it away, you recycle it, but it's a smart shoe and it's made in Rwanda and it's relatable in Rwanda and beyond. It's like the Labubu doll of China. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's called Labu, or what it is called, but that doll or that, product that they have, you see how it went from being totally unknown to being sort of like the trademark and flagship of China all around the world. Like everyone's so excited to have that. Everyone's so excited to get the new model. It's the same thing you have to think about when you're creating these business plans. So the idea is your app needs to be able to give these detailed business plans. And for you to do that properly, you kind of need to be connected to people who know about these resources, who know where you can get them. So you know the easy source, right? To include in that bespoke business plan that people come so much to your app to find. They could just go type it on Google search maybe and say, give me a business plan to make this. It might give them, but it's very generic and very just vague. But your app is actually giving them more details into it, from step 1 to step the end, and even content to show them how this business is going to look like, to give them that visualization, to excite them so that they get to actually start this business, whether small scale or large scale. So that's the idea. So Kigali Agribusiness Incubation Center have agreed to host you guys to come in to explain these resources. You get to have connections to where you can find them, use them easily, not in an expensive way, because it's easy access. You have marketing connections, market connections, mentorship. So I think you have everything. This is something that is not very coming by all the time, right? This is something that is quite unique. So now back to why I'm saying this is because we've posted a poll, right? We've published a poll. The poll is that you need to pick between either of the 3 dates for when you are able to be there, because it's only on select. We're just going to close that poll on Wednesday, and who we have is the one we're going to be organizing to be with Women in Tech representative in Kigali on that day. There is going to be media, so this is bringing me back to the media content form that Kike has sent. I do advise you strongly to go and learn about Kike very well, because I've learned about them very well before we even connected with them. And it's one of the great agricultural, I would say, organizations in Rwanda. And I feel what they're doing is great because they're trying to help these young innovators and these women-led innovators as well to be able to start up businesses in agriculture and helping them establish those connections. So I would really advise that you go and learn about them. They do have a membership, so we're looking into, and this now goes back to the groups again, so it's not for everybody. I'm just giving you a little insight. They have a membership, and we're looking into seeing, because when you go into these sessions, we're trying to see which group from the Green Sip Tech Talk session groups that we have right now ongoing. The group that's actually going to be able to have a proper feedback report, because everybody is going to be assigned to do something after this session, which is why you need to be there, right? So the group that will have something tangible for us that explains and connects what we're doing in Code Hills with what you've learned from these resources in Rwanda and what you're going to be doing as a business plan is the one that we're thinking on subscribing you for membership. So where you can, and membership, so that means Nazli Tech School will cover the cost of membership for that group, for whichever group it is. Now I'm saying if you go there, if you're not a group and you just go there, well, that's different. This is just a group we're talking about. So the priorities or why you would be in that membership or what you would benefit is all here. Of course, Mr. Francois can give you more insights into that, but we'll know that for sure when we see the feedback that we're getting from you guys once you attend and you come back based on what we're going to ask you to do. So you need to be all in, all attentive. You're a startup founder, you're tech startup founders. So put that in mind when you attend. Try to make your mind working ways. And then remember that you try to relate this back to this app that you're eventually going to finish. You're going to make it product ready and you're going to sell it online for subscription where people can use it both in Rwanda and abroad. And that's something I'm hoping that I'll get to show you, which I will definitely do my best to make sure I show you so you know how to be able to get revenue back from what you're creating. So it's really important you take advantage of this. Anyways, the media content form will only be sent to the students that are confirmed that once the poll is ended, those students will receive this media consent form, which you just need to consent that you know there's going to be media, there's going to be photographs, there's going to be video, recording of the whole session in the facility in Kigali Agribusiness Incubation Center. So again, we're so grateful for that opportunity. Let's see what else is coming in for you, surprise towards the end of this program. Who knows, right? You just got to wait and see. Okay, I'm moving on now. Let's go into our lesson. So back to our lesson. Mary, you have a question. If it's about this in physical, online, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mary, I'm listening to you. I think you're muted, Mary. You're,
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Is the
well.
green sip and talk visit? Okay, I'm not in Rwanda, so I don't know the possibility, and I didn't put a vote on the poll on any of the dates because I'm not there. So am I exempted?
No, actually, your team can record it for you, Mary. While they're there, you can still put your poll in there, even if you're not in Rwanda, but you might attend. I don't know about the online thing, so I can't say anything. I have to ask Mr. Francois and see if there's like an online possibility while in person. But I'm not sure, so I can't say anything now. However, what I can suggest is perhaps your group, because you are in a group, they would record the session, obviously, of what's happening and what went there. And if you have any questions or anything you want to maybe ask, if you're not going to be around, maybe even someone could be recording it live, in your group. I hope someone can do that for any group member who's not in Rwanda but wants to experience this. And yeah, and so this is something really you need to coordinate with the group, Mary. Yeah, because I can't confirm. I will ask him, but I don't know if it's going to be an online as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we move on. If you have any questions about the Kigali Agribusiness Center, please, so Agribusiness Incubation Center, sorry about that. Please feel free to send us an email or ask Women in Tech Rwanda, and they will just get back to you. Just make sure you are reading polls and reading posts. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so I want to move on. There is also one more thing I want to show you, but I'll leave it till the end of the class. There's something very important regarding submissions. Now, I'm coming back into our class from last time. As you guys know, I did do a second part video, and be expecting second part videos, guys. Be expecting it because of the timing. And what I mean by timing, I mean like, to get this done. We need to make sure you're getting everything we need to teach you done on specific times. So I will record these extra videos because I need you to work on extra things. So in the last lesson 2 video, we did stuff where like now we've been able to put in, the username. I'm going to take this out. Let me see if I can type it in. It's a little slow, but yeah. For example, like that, right? And then password, and then confirm password, which they have to match, by the way, right? And then these buttons are now here. And I also explained how you can insert buttons and put them with colorings and stuff that can make it look good. So most importantly, today we're focusing on functionality. So when you click on these buttons right now, they only tell you you've clicked on them. So you've clicked on the done, you've clicked on the login, you've clicked on the submit button, right? So that's pretty much what you have. Okay, so we're going to be working on functionality. So the buttons all have what we call the action listener. There are two things you need to keep in mind. We have mouse listeners, we have action listeners. Mouse listeners is like you hear it, you move your cursor. So it's a listener, not physically listening, but it's paying attention. When you click anywhere on the screen, and that's something we're also going to do, something's going to happen. That's a mouse listener. Action listeners are involving like buttons and stuff like checkboxes or radio buttons. Sometimes when you click on them, something happens. So these are buttons. This is why we added an action listener to all of them. And we've basically put that pop-up message using the J option pane. So the J option pane is the one that's showing the pop-up message. There are different type of J option panes, by the way. There is the J option pane responsible for showing error messages or information or whatnot. I might give you that in the notes, add those so that you can see what it is. Now, today we're going to be working on creating more functions, or we can say more methods. Now, the method we're going to start with is the done. When you click the done button, what really happens? There are many things that happen. And I want to show you a completed version of this page, this sign up page. This is a complete program. I just switched now. Now you realize, look at the done button here. This is a done button. This is the action listener. Here, we are creating a variable called username, right? We're getting the username from the text box because we're saying string username equals to user text field dot get text. I think I showed you that last time. Then we're also creating another variable where we're getting the password, right? Which is called raw password. Then we're creating another variable where we're getting the confirm password, because once they click done, there are several things that have to happen. First of all, we have to check that they haven't left the text boxes empty. Second, we have to check if the password and the confirm password match. Third, we have to check if the password is at least not less than 8 characters. And you can do the other things like, oh, is it uppercase? Is it lowercase? You can do all that stuff. That's why we have an extension. So, but the main things we're doing is just empty, is it matching, and is it less than or equal to 8 characters? Let's say less than 8 characters. Let's say we accept passwords from 8 characters and above. So that's one thing that's happening, and that's why you see a try block. We have a try and we have an exception. So I think for those of you, I'm going to show you what the exception means. For those of you who know Java or have a little idea on it, when we say try, just like in English, when you tell the computer try something, you're saying run this, check this, do this. Try, what are you saying? Look at the curly brace. Try this whole thing. And what is that whole thing doing? Validate the inputs. Is this person entering something right? Then if it is, I want you to create the hash password. This is where we use the cybersecurity algorithm called SHA-256. That algorithm that creates those hash random numbers and letters that's come from millions of computational cycles. Big O notation. We're going to leave that technicality, but just understand that those type of random things you're seeing, like string, like a really long string, is not just by accident. It's like a mix and mix, like you keep mixing and getting new mixes until you do billions, millions, let's say million to billion sort of computational outputs or cycles. And you end up getting that hash password where nobody can it's impossible to, crack or to decrypt. There's no decryption here. There's only encryption. It's immutable. So that's what's happening in this part. And then, of course, you're checking to see if there's a duplicate. What does this mean, these 2 steps? Well, is the password already existing in the database? If it is, then, of course, you can't sign this person up because that already exists there. The password is what we call the primary key. It is the way to uniquely identify each user. Now, you can have the user ID as the primary key, which means every time a person signs up, they will be assigned a unique ID. It could be as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time a person signs up, then there's going to be like that. It will just keep increasing the number. So the ID is an integer number that increases. We can have like 300 people signed up, and the 300 person that's his or her unique ID. That's their primary key. What I'm trying to say is that in our case, in the database, what is our primary key? It's the hashed password. That's what uniquely identifies every user in the system, their password. So if you're saying, you can also say that you want to use the ID, because you might be saying, okay, what about if I want to search a person? Do I have to write that whole thing? Well, in that case, you can switch and just make it your user ID while your hash password is still being kept as a primary key, but it's not necessarily a primary key. It might be a foreign key to another table. What does that mean? Well, it means that if the person signs up, then how do you uniquely identify this person is by two ways. The primary key is going to be the ID. So that number, 1, 2, 3, or any kind of ID you want, but it's going to be unique. Every person will have their own. Then the foreign key is going to be perhaps the password, so that whenever you want to search one database table connected to another, so maybe you want to search how many times this person has used your app, or what resources exactly did this person search or find out or learn about or create a plan for or generate a plan for. So your system will take the password, which is the foreign key in the user table, and it will use it to search through another table that's maybe called the resources table to see if there's a match of that password in that table, to see how many resources that password has actually accessed. So that's what we call the foreign key connecting to another table. That's how you relate one database table to another table. Each table has a primary key, but they are connected with foreign keys. And that's why they're called relational databases. That's another thing that's called database systems, but understand this is what that's doing. Else means that, of course, if the password is unique, then what happens? Then it means that you will get a new hashed encrypted password. And of course, everything else, your panel and your Imogongo pattern will now show. The Imogongo pattern does not show if the password already exists. It only shows when it's a unique. It's like a batch. Last part before we start, the catch. Catch means if there's any errors. Catch, exception, catch and error. That's what it means. Exceptions in Java or in any high-level programming language means errors. So if there is an exception, meaning that if for whatever reason, your password or what you've entered was not successful to be able to store your password and sign you up, maybe because the database is not found, maybe something happened, then in that case, you will have an error, which is an exception. The hash password will obviously not show, which is why you see set visible to false, meaning that's also connected with the Imogongo pattern. It won't show because it can't show if you have an error, if something's wrong. It didn't hash your password. You will also receive this message that says validation error, and whatever the error is, whatever the problem is, maybe the database table is corrupted, maybe you entered something completely wrong, you left something blank, something happened that was not able to generate your password, which is the hashed one, so it can sign you up. So in that case, it will show what it is, and then it will clear everything. That means the text boxes will just clear up. Nothing will show there, so you have to re-enter again, try to sign up again. So that's the process I want to talk about. So now let's get into starting to create our first method. The method we're going to create is a very simple one. This one is to be able to check, like I told you, if they didn't leave a blank space or if it is not duplicate, like if the password and confirm password don't match and all that stuff. So we're going to create a public static void. Do you realize where I'm creating this method, by the way? You have to be careful. For those of you who don't know, be careful, because if you try to create a method like this, for example, if you put it inside of another method, and what's another method? Remember that this is a method where we actually started to display our home screen and put the username and the password. This method, remember, the one that opens from here, start app. Look at the curly brace. Curly brace. Look at where it ends. Click on the opening curly brace and keep going and paying attention with your eyes. It ends here, meaning that method is closing here. Now, if you go and start creating a new method like this one here, this is a very big error in Java or any high-level programming language, because you cannot create a method inside of a method. You can do recursion, but recursion is completely different. It doesn't involve you having to create a method inside of a method. Recursion, for those of you who don't know, is like when you want to call a method to repeat something multiple times. Like it's going to regenerate like a user ID. You're going to be calling it every single time because you want to generate a specific ID. You want to say code hills 1001. then code hills 1002, something like that. Like if you have that customized type of thing, you will do recursion because you would have to call a method multiple times to regenerate that unique, ID. So never put a method inside of a method. That's what I'm trying to say. I know it's a very simple thing to pay attention to for those who already know, but for those who don't know, this can be a fatal mistake. So my method is going to be called validate input. Okay, what are the input? You can say inputs to make sense because it's plural, more than one. Well, we have string username, we've got string password, we've got string confirm password, right? These are like what we want to validate. And of course, what else do we want to do? We want to throw exception. So throws exception. What does that mean? Meaning that if there's an error, then we want to spot what the error is. Boom, that's it. So what did we do right now? We created a method that has arguments, right? This method has arguments. What does that mean? Well, it's taking something inside of the parentheses. Remember before, there are times where we don't have anything. We could have like an empty method like this. There's nothing in the parentheses. We've done that in the first one, right? But this one has something inside. So these are considered as arguments, meaning that when you want to run this method, you have to input the data. You have to input values for these arguments. This means that you have to import the username, you have to input the password, and you have to input the confirm password so that the compiler can take all those inputs and check to see if they're actually valid. So I could have also done this if you're wondering. I mean, I don't have to put public there, do I? It's already public, like by default. If I put a private, what does this mean? Private, it means that this method is only for this class alone. I can't use it anywhere else. If I create another class, because I would try and do something like encapsulation or inheritance, for those of you who know more complex sort of programming, then you understand what I'm saying, then I'm creating other classes. Hence, if I did, for example, encapsulation, and if you don't know what I'm saying, I will explain it. If I did do encapsulation and I made something private as a method here, then I would have to access it using getters or setters in another class, right? Okay, if you have no idea what I'm saying, I'll explain in simple terms. Later on, I just want to say that for now, I just don't need to put a public. By default, all the methods that you create in a class are public unless you change them to either private, meaning that no other class can access it, only this one, or protected, meaning that it can be accessed by other classes, but within the same package. Okay, so for now, just understand that you can do without this if you don't want. Okay, so what's throws exception? What's that again? Well, throws exception means that there's an error. There could be an error. What is the error? How do we know what the error is? We don't know because it might be that the person left the password blank, left the password, confirm password blank, maybe fill the username and fill the confirm password, left something. Something happened. They left something blank, or the password and the confirm password, they don't match, or the password is just too short. That is not acceptable. That's what throws exception means that if there's an error, throw it. What is the error? Tell the person. So we're going to start off now by putting in some of these conditions. Before we put the conditions though, okay, let's just put it actually. So the first condition is username dot trim. We're going to use this keyword trim dot is empty. And what does that mean? So it means that if they leave the username or they leave the password or the confirm password blank, that's what we're going to do. So if the username is empty or the username is just, is blank, then in that case, we're just going to tell it like this. Look, we're going to say that you've left something blank. Okay, here will be please fill in all fields. It's just a very simple way. So trim means take out white spaces. What are the white spaces? Like when you type a username, and you're like Alex space Wong. Well, if you say trim, you're taking that space and it becomes Alex Wong together, right, as one name. And then it's checking to see if once you take out those spaces, if you typed in the text box, did you leave it blank? Like I'm just saying what the trim does, taking out the white spaces. And then what does the is empty does? It checks to see that those boxes, the ones that we have here, they're not blank, and you click done. You can't click done if you haven't typed anything in. So we can't store empty data. So in that case, if they are empty, and what does this mean, these lines, these bars? It means or in Java. It's the way we say or, just like in English. Is the username empty? Or is the password empty? Or is the confirmed password empty? So it's an or, meaning that if any of these three are empty, then it will say, please fill in all fields, all the fields. You can be more specific and say things like, oh, okay, I want to do it such that, what about if they just have the username empty? Please fill in your username, you left it blank. What about if they have the password? I don't want to do it like all together. You can do it separately if you want. You can decide to do something where it's just like this, and then you put the message itself, like, something. Let me see if I can just quickly show you that. Something like this, and then you'd be like, oh, please fill in the username field, like that. If you want to do it that way, I mean, it's just going to take your time, but you can do it this way, whereby every single thing, you're checking for every single thing to tell them. It's a good way to guide the user so that they know what did I leave empty, but I think it's pretty obvious. If you say, please check all fields, it's obvious. You need to look at the boxes, right? So in that case, this is why we save the time and we put everything all at once, like that. So that's one thing to sort of check. What is another thing to check? We can do for password length, like, again, what about the password? How long is the password? So this way you can say password. Don't worry, we're going to do the one for the are they matching? Actually, let's do that one. If password dot equals, how did you write confirm password? So you're basically saying that if the password is equal to the password, this is wrong. Don't keep it that way, because if the password is equal to the password, then that's a good thing, isn't it? Because you want it to be the same, the password and the confirmed password. But if you want to say if the password and the confirmed password are not equal, they typed something wrong in one of them, they're not the same, but you're trying to make sure that they are entering a password that should be the right one, then you're going to put an exclamation here in programming, meaning that if the password and the confirmed password are not equal, you have an exclamation. Exclamation in programming means not equal. So if you don't have an exclamation, then you're basically saying if the password and the confirmed password is equal, which is a good thing. They're supposed to be equal. So if you put an exclamation, they're not equal. So if they're not equal, what happens here, guys? Throw new exception. I forgot to explain this to you, but I think you know what this means at this point. It's just going to do a pop-up. If you don't want to do J option pane, like if you want to do that J option pane show message dialog, you can still do that. But then in that case, you don't need to have a throw exception here. You can just take that out and just do J option pane, like what we did with the other buttons. But if you do a throws exception, then you have to indicate that this is an error. And so this will pop up and tell them, please fill in all the fields. You can't leave anyone blank. So here, what will be the throw exception? So the throw exception will be that your password and your confirmed password don't match, right? So passwords and confirmed password. Let's be more specific. Do not match. Remove any extra spacing, put a semicolon, and you're done. Now, what else do we need to check? Well, we've checked for empty boxes, right? We've also checked to see if the password and confirmed password do not match. What else do we need to do? Well, the next thing we need to do is to check and see if the password is perhaps less than 8 characters, because you don't want like one letter and that's a password. That doesn't make sense, right? So we want to do the password length. This is called a length check. So what we'll do is password.length. And usually something you can do as well, and this is an advice, is maybe perhaps you do this check only when you're sure that the password and the confirmed password actually match, if that makes sense. So if confirmed password and password match, then you will check to see if the length is good. Or maybe you just do it at the same time. This can actually be also reasonable. So yeah, this is pretty much all the checks. The first one was the empty check. You can say empty fields validation. We call these validation checks. This one was match validation checks, right? This one was empty field validation check. And what is this one? This one is length validation check. So you can add as many checks as you want. I feel like for this now, for me, it's okay. So all these are all ifs. If you're wondering why, maybe what is if means condition. If you're saying if the username is empty, if the password is empty, or if the confirmed password is empty, then you're going to throw this error message. They will see this on the screen. like a pop-up window. And then you're saying also check if the password is not equal to the confirmed password, also throw this error message. And then you're also saying check if the length of the password is not equal to 8. It's less than 8. You can do whatever length check you want to do. You can say, oh, it has to be 10. That depends on you. I just did the dot length. Length means that it will start counting every single letter or word or number, whatever you typed in the password is going to count every single thing and see if the total length is less than 8. And if it is less than 8, then it will flag this. If it is not less than 8, meaning greater than or equal to 8, then of course it will just accept it because you didn't put that as a command. So that's why we have these ifs, independent conditions that they all have to be checked. No one of them is going to be omitted. They all have to check. So that's why we didn't do if, else, if. Because if we did this, by the way, if you're wondering, for those who know programming a little, if we did else if, then it means that you're telling the computer to check which one is true, and whichever one is true, it will execute and it will not check anything else. So, okay, maybe they didn't leave it blank, but then their password and confirmed password don't match. So your system is going to accept that. And also maybe their password is not, 8 characters or more. It doesn't make sense. It's just one single character. So your system is going to accept that. So this is why you have to be wise when you're programming and exactly know what you want to accept and what you want to use. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So this is all for this method. That's pretty much it for how to validate inputs for the password. This is all you have to have. Now you have to go back up so it works for all of your button click, well, for your done button clicks, because that's pretty much what we have, right? So going back to the done button clicks, in here where we have done button, because we have submit button, right? So it's at the top. We have login, and then we've got the done button, which is way at the top here. So scroll up, and here's your done button. So the comments help you identify. Now, the part that you need to focus on is this part here. In this part, you've said add action listener to check, your when they click on the button, you want to check something. In this case, what do we want to check now? Now we're going to be first getting the username. First, we can't check anything if we don't have data. We can't call this method. We can't check this method, right? If we don't have data. So we have to get the username first. We have to get the password first. Then we have to get the confirmed password. Well, here it doesn't show, but you know what I mean. Confirm password as in from here. The checks are mainly on the username and the password. So we need to get that information before we can run it through any check. So what you'll do is when you come to your done button, this line here, you come down and then you do the string, remember, username. What is that? Your username, your name of your text box is textbox1.getText. Meaning that whatever they typed in the text box, it will get the text. So this gets the text from the username text box. And if you're wondering where I got text box 1, well, that's because that's the name of your text box. Just scroll up a little. If you have organized your code properly, then I'm thinking you've put a comment. This was the text box that you used to get your username, isn't it? It's called text box 1. That was the name of the object. So that's the same object that you're going to use to get what they've typed in the text box, which is the reason why I'm putting textbox1.getText. Get text means what did they type in the box. And then you notice that I'm using username. I mean, I don't have to use username. I don't have to use the same name that is in this method. I could do something else if I want. I could call it string user, for example, or user1 or anything. It doesn't matter. What really matters is that you're storing whatever you're getting from the text box under some sort of variable. And this variable has to be a string. Why? Because the username is a string. What is a string? Made up of text, letters, symbols, anything that's basically put in quotation. I said that last time. So anything you do like this, right? And you basically just rant some things, whatever you rant in there. This is all considered to be a string. This whole thing, because it's all enclosed in quotation mark. So, or speech marks. So this is what strings are, and that's why we're saving the username as a string. Now we go down and do the same thing for password. And password is the same thing again. Just be careful because password, remember, it's masked. I hope you remember that. Masked, meaning what? It's hidden. So when they type, they don't see, right? You don't see what you're typing like in a website. It's hidden, it's masked. So you have to be able to get that password into a string. Like you have to store it as a string. So what you do is you basically create a new string object. This is what you will do. Don't just do textbox2.getPassword. It doesn't, it doesn't work. .get text, sorry. It doesn't work like that. It's not a text. It's hidden. So it's a password. It's masked. So the way you're going to be getting it is you have to write new string and put the name of the text box where you have masked the password and say .get password. Now you can use that type of password field for anything. It doesn't have to be only when you want a password that I'm going to use the password field. Maybe you create something later on in your app and you don't want them like when they're typing for shouldering, people who are like looking maybe when someone's on their computer behind doing like they're doing something else. Maybe you don't want the person to see what's happening at that point and you're considering that kind of situation. And so you want to mask that input. So in that case, you can still use the password field. It's not only restricted for username and password. It's for any kind of situation. You just have to know what situation you need it for. So here you're going to do .get password. And so this is the correct way to do it. And then put your semicolon. Just be careful with the parentheses. And you do the same thing for confirm password. You notice I'm not leaving spaces for two words. That's just not because if you do this, you get an error. We can't leave spacing in variable names. It's just the law. It's a technical law. If you want to separate 2 words or 3 words or how many words, then you can use underscore. That is also acceptable. But you can't leave spacing with variable names. Neither can you start variable names with numbers like this, for example. This is wrong. You can't start it with numbers. You have to start it with letters or symbols or something, but not numbers. So those are just the basic rules. So now you do the same thing again. Remember what the text box is. I'm not going back up again because I assume that you know where I'm getting this from. Text box 2 was for your password, right? Your name of your object. Text box 3 was for the name of your confirmed password. And that's really where I'm getting it from. So let's get back to where's the done? There it is. So that's where I'm getting all this stuff from. Okay, so that's it. When you get it now, what are you going to do? Well, try block. Remember what we talked about, try. And what will that be? This pretty much. And then catch. Okay, if you're saying what's happening, I'm going to explain what's happening. Well, what happened, what I just did very quickly there was because we're trying to validate, we're trying to call a method, right? And this method that we're calling is the username, password, and confirm password, right? Where are we getting this method from? We're getting this method from where? From the method we just finished creating. The name of this method is called valid inputs, right? And inside here, we're taking 3 arguments. We're taking the username, the password, and the confirm password. Where are we going to be getting those arguments from? Well, we're going to be getting those arguments. Let's get back to the done button again. I keep skipping where that is. There it is. We're getting it from what they type in. Okay, I'm back again to the done button, if you're wondering. So when you want to tell the computer that I want you to take all these things that they have typed in, at this point they have typed in, right? They should have at least. That's why you're doing validation. Once they click the done button, you're going to take in whatever is there in the boxes, whatever is there, you're going to be passing it through that method so you can check if it's valid first. If it is valid, then you're going to say, good, registration is successful, or whatever you want to say. I mean, you can really change this message. And if you're wondering what the null is, I didn't explain that because we've used it before. Null just means where is this pop-up going to show on what screen? And if you remember, the screen that we created, where the home screen is and the boxes are and everything is, it's called what? Frame, the name of the object of that screen. So if we want, we can specifically put it here instead of saying null. But by default, we say null, meaning wherever the person is on whatever screen, if it's related to them clicking on a done button, which is called the done button, like we've called it, then it should print this only when it has successfully checked and all of this is passing successfully. Like they have a username, they've typed it in, they have a password that is not 8 characters less, they have at least 8 characters in the password and the confirmed password match. If you're wondering again, what about the username? Can we put like a 8-character limit? Yes, you can. That's why I said you can go and add as many checks as you want. You can just keep going. If, again, put another if. Keep checking whatever you want to check. So for me, I just put 3 there because I felt that was okay. So this is really what's happening. Okay, so if it's successful, if they have everything good, it will say registration is successful. If it is not good, of course, if there's something wrong somewhere, then it will say that, it will catch the exception. What is the exception object? Again, I forgot to mention that when you create an exception, you have to give it a name. Exception is an error. When you say try this and then catch an error, you have to give your error a name, whatever you want to call this. I can call this Alicia if I want. And it still works. It really doesn't matter what you call it. So I'm going to take it back to E, E1, EX, whatever you want to call this. So it's your exception. It's just by standards, we usually use these words like EX, E1, E, like the technical, like a formula sort of thing, but it's not like it's obligatory. So what you're saying is that if there is an error, if you catch an exception, catch an error, for whatever reason, the password was not being valid, then you want that exception to be displayed. Now, how is the computer going to know what that exception is? This is a very good question now. Well, it will know because if you go back to your, what do you call it, to your method, this one, do you remember that you said throws exception, right? So it knows exception. The word is there. So when you say that you wanted to try and see if this is true or not, and then you wanted to catch an exception, it knows what you're saying when you're saying exception. And it will display the message depending on what the exception is, which means what the error is. That's why we say get message, because it will display the message. So the message could be what? It could be going back down there. It could be this one, right? It could be the one that says, please fill in all fields, or this one, depending on what it is. So at this point, you can try it out and see if everything is okay. If not, you can always come back and check. So what you'll do is let's stop it. Let's run it again. And one more thing I want to do just before I try and see if now I'm getting like the computer is checking the confirm password. I'm going to put a comment on this line because I don't want it to say you've clicked the done button. Let's just comment it out for now. You can still keep it there, but I'm commenting it out, putting the slashes in front. Okay, so now going back to the workflow, running again. Coming back to your VNC, remember where you run your code, zooming out. Okay, so if I click done, you see what's happening now? What is it saying? Please fill in all the fields. Okay, let's say, okay, oh yeah, I didn't fill in my fields. Let me fill that in. My name is there, okay, and then, and then my password. And maybe I'm so excited and I forgot to confirm password. It's not letting me go. It says, please fill in all the fields, right? Okay, so I will fill in. Let's say now I put, let me delete this stuff. So we see that there's validation working. So let's say I put Alicia. Alicia is how many letters? 6 letters, right? And the password is supposed to be at least 8 letters. So let's say I put in everything and I click on done. The password and the confirm passwords, first of all, they don't match because I didn't put them correctly. So let's say I type in Alicia, and then I type in Alicia, and I click done. So now my passwords actually match, but I'm having another problem. The passwords must be at least 8 characters long. So you see how it's doing the check? Okay, I put Alicia Habibi, I put Alicia. They do match now, but then it's not 8 letters. Okay, let's add HA to them. Make them 8 letters. Registration successful. So that's just the very demonstration of all checks being correct. So this is now Alicia Habibi. This one is now Alicia Ha. This one is now Alicia Ha, which again, we can print out, by the way, if you want to check what that is, but you can print it out. If you're wondering how you can print out the password just to see what it is, you can just come back when they do the done, just go back to the done part, and you can do like a print, like here. Print is really easy, print password. Again, if you're wondering where I am, I'm in the done button.add action listener. So if you want to print password and I don't know, confirm password for whatever reason, to the console or you want to pop it up, it's really easy. Just do this and then do this, and you actually see what the person is entering, like on the back end, on the console I'm talking. You got to come back here and I'm going to show you. You can see what is being typed. So if you want to do that, but that's for you, that's not for the user. So I'm going to show you in whatever case. I'm not sure why you might want to do this, but if you want to see it, let me just do a quick demonstration before I move into something very important. So I'm going to come back to the VNC, right? And I'm going to do the same thing I was typing before. So remember, we're not storing anything in database yet, right? We're still in the validation part. So Alicia is my username. Then my password is Alicia. Then I'm going to make Elicia. Instead of A, I put an E, and then I click done. And then it says they don't match, right? Okay, I put okay. Let's go back to the console. So you see, I have password. This is what I typed, Alicia. And this is how I typed Elicia. Okay, now let's go back to the VNC. And now I'm going to type Alicia with capital A and everything lowercase. And then I'll put Alicia. They still wouldn't pass because they're not like the right length. You see, eight characters. It's 6 characters. So you can still see that now I'm putting Alicia and I'm putting Alicia again. And then I go back and let's say this time I add an HA or something, or P or something, PP, for example, and then like that. Now, when I click done, registration is successful. When you go back to console, you can see that I've added Alicia PNP and then I've added Alicia PNP. Pretty much that. So if you want to print it for whatever reason, go ahead and do so. If you don't need to, well, you don't need to. Just anything you don't need, comment it out. And remember, at the end, you have to clean up your whole code. So cleaning up means getting rid of things that you don't need. So if you don't really need these lines, just delete it from there. You don't need it. If you also don't need the line that's telling them to click, you've clicked the done button, just delete it. Get rid of things that you don't need and clean up the code to look neat. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to show you something very cool. How do we make this animated? Now, probably you're being wondering if we want to make a screen animated, interactive, maybe 3D, that kind of a thing. How can we do that? Well, I'll show you. If you have Google AI Studio, everybody has it if you have a Gmail, and everybody has access to what we call Try the Live API, right? If you go in there and you just, this link, let me even give you guys the link right now. You can bookmark. Just so that I'll show you something real quick. Let me put it on chat. This link will be available for you guys. So in case if anyone doesn't get it, but the link is in the chat. So if you go to that link, like in your Gmail, if you click talk, I'm going to talk, but I'm not going to be speaking to you guys. I'm going to be speaking to Gemini. Now listen what happens. And I want to show you something. So I'll click talk. Hi, Gemini. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help you today?
I am designing and developing an app called Rwandan Code Hills 1001, and I have created the home screen for this app. I would like you to look at the home screen, and I would like you to suggest to me what kind of animation I can put. I want you to give me the prompt. What sort of animation can I do to make it look like 3D? And this prompt should be suitable for Google Flow to give me that animated version. Do you understand?
I understand you're looking for a prompt to generate a 3D animation effect for your home screen, and you want it compatible with Google Flow. To give you the best prompt, could you tell me a bit more about what's on the home screen? For example, what logos, text, or buttons are there, and how would you like them to move or interact? Knowing that detail will help me craft a more precise prompt.
Sure, I'm going to share my screen for you, and then you're going to see it, and I'll explain to you what I want. All good?
That sounds perfect. Once you share your screen, I'll be ready to take a look and discuss the animation ideas with you. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen right now. Can you see my screen okay? It's coming on right now. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see your screen now. I see a web page for Code Hills 1001 with several tabs and a login form. The background is a landscape. What kind of animation are you thinking of for the screen?
I want you to give me an animation whereby basically all the text should stay the same. It should look 3D like, and I don't want anything to happen where the username and password and confirm password is, including the text boxes. That should all stay the same. But I want you to give me a prompt that I can take this background, this home screen, to look like a 3D sort of home screen. And I can be able to do that by putting that prompt on Google Flow.
And you want to transform the background of your home screen to have a 3D appearance while keeping all the text, buttons, and input fields static. To create this effect, a prompt could describe separating the layers, like having the mountain background pan slowly, while the wooden panel and controls stay closer to the front. Here's a prompt you could try in Google Flow. Create a subtle 3D parallax effect for the screen. Make the mountain background slowly move horizontally behind the main content. The main wooden panel with all text fields and buttons should remain still, appearing closer to the viewer. Does that sound like what you had in mind?
Yes, that sounds good. Did you type out the prompt for me?
Great, I'm glad that works for you. You can take that prompt and try it out in Google Flow to see the animation it generates. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding your app design?
Yes, I want you to repeat the prompt you just said and type it out so I can copy paste it.
Certainly. Here's the prompt again. Create a subtle 3D parallax effect for this screen. Make the mountain background slowly move horizontally behind the main content. The main wooden panel with all text fields and buttons should remain still, appearing closer to the viewer. You should be able to copy and paste that description. Let me know if you need any changes to it.
Okay, guys, I don't know if you were hearing the last part because I saw that it says my audio was disconnected. So I kind of want to reshare my screen and show you what prompt she gave me and then tell you, I don't know if you started hearing. Did you start hearing the beginning of when I was talking with Gemini? Up until where did it stop? You can unmute yourself, someone, and say it. Did you hear everything up until where I just stopped it? Oh, you guys were able to hear. Okay. Well, okay, then that's good. I thought you weren't able to hear. Okay, so this is just the way you use Gemini. You guys have this free, and I'm going to show you the effect right now. See what she gave me for the prompt? You have to make sure you give it strict, instructions all the way up until here. Now, I'm going to copy this prompt. And you remember, again, you can always tell it, I don't like this animation. Go back and talk to it live and say, or even type there and say, I want you to change it, do this, do that. So I'm just going to show you a demonstration. And this is not only for your home screen. This can work for any aspect of your app. Even when you're doing group discussions, you're talking about like the Green Sip Talk, Tech Talk, you want to discuss business ideas. Gemini can really fill you in and explore your ideas even more, even for any single thing in life that you want to do. You can just screen share, talk to it, and it will give you those suggestions. So I'm really using it more for this app because I want to get like a 3D sort of version. So let's see if what she told me, how that looks. So I just copy pasted the prompt. She says, create a subtle 3D, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to repeat it. And now I'm going to go and just drag and drop my home screen. I will explain more in the second part of this classroom because I can't do it today. So I'll make a video and explain to you guys how to put it. It's really easy how to put an animated 3D looking kind of, screen. It just brings everything completely to life. So this is like how my home screen looks like right now, right? So when you upload it, and if you guys don't know what I did, I clicked the plus sign and I went upload, or you can drag and drop. Just make sure you add the uploaded picture to the prompt like this. Once you do that, you all have this free, by the way. You can talk to Gemini free. I think there's a limit every day, but you have her free talk every time, every day reset, and you have Google Flow also free. So you should make use of these free tools that you're having. Now, if you go onto video, you select your sort of aspect ratio, and then you can select what kind of video. I wouldn't go for Omni Flash particularly for me, but you can explore it. We're just not going to do that now. I'm just going to go for VEO 3.1 light and maybe, or even VEO 3.1 fast, which basically means more quality. And then I'll do a one version of the video. Because if I do two, look at how much credits I'm going to be wasting for free. And I get 50 credits every day. So probably just do one. And then once you do that, then you can send it over. That's it. And wait for it. So it's going to generate for you a video. Now that's the interesting part. The video actually becomes the animation that you can come back and put here. you can replace this so easy, and it changes to be that animated background. But that's why you have to tell Gemini to keep things the way they are. If you do want these things, for example, maybe I want these things to actually come to life, these options, like look more 3D, and maybe just here is what I want to keep it same, then that's what you just need to explain to Gemini, really. So now the video is generating. Again, like I told you, it's free. It's going to keep what you have same. If you don't like what you have, you can always go back again to Google AI Studio and sort of talk more to Gemini and screen share again and keep going until you get what you want. And you just keep doing that for all parts of this app that you're developing pretty much. So let's see this last part, and then we go, I come back to the classroom. Let's see what happens now. So look. That's it, pretty much that. So I will download it, right? And then I like this. And imagine if you can actually put the sound too. Isn't that great? Like if it's relaxing, nice, someone comes in there, really enjoys being in this app itself. Look at how it is now on Big Play. And everything is staying the same. So your user sign up is gonna remain the same, but it's like really cool. So anyways, I'll continue the second part of this video of how to make this into an animation and actually put that there, but it's not going to be with sound because we're using Java, and on Replit, we don't have that audio sort of library. But if you are using an IDE, for those of you, again, who code, you know what I'm speaking about, Visual Studio or Eclipse, any IDE like that, then you can actually insert it with the sound as well when you do launch the app. But if you aren't, it's okay. When you come to finishing this app, when you refine it, you can keep it with the sound. But for now, I think I'll just show you how to do the animation itself. I think now I'm going to come back to the classroom. Were you guys able to see everything all good, like up until here? All good? Yeah? Okay. So the last part, guys, just before we go, I'm going to let you guys go and see if you have any questions. But just before we go, can I show you something? Now, remember when I was telling you guys that I will take the time to show you real quick, like when you graduate from this course, what are you going to be submitting? Well, here are the graduates that finished from the Cameroon Mboaflix, which you guys may have been seeing on our page. They were 10 exceptional students that were able to complete the course successfully. Of course, you know how rigorous this course is from the posts and publications and all that stuff. I'm on Kevin Umba. Kevin Omba was one of those students that was chosen to be an exceptional intern that is going to hopefully represent us in Cameroon International Tech Summit. He was one of those exceptional students that I was talking about. What I'm trying to tell you anyways is that you're going to be asked to put all this stuff. Do you see it? You're going to be asked to put all your assessments, and you're going to be showing us where that is. There is going to be a folder for you. So if I click and open Kevin's, you see that I go directly. You see how organized he's doing his stuff? I go directly and I'm able to see the lesson quizzes, the learning journeys, which is coming up, by the way, on the next thing, where it talks about here your learning reflections. And again, I click and open that. It goes on to opening that section on the Google Drive folder. And you see how it means to be an organized person. It just starts off by yourself. So this is all Kevin's app, finalization, his work, you know, the learning journeys basically. And if you notice, these learning journeys are actually opening his LinkedIn page, which I can go directly. You see how it is so good when you are just in an organized fashion. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that there are things that you need to submit, and this is all the things. In your case, you're going to even have more than this at the end. So you need to make sure that you are having, you know, your stuff all organized. Another thing I wanted to show you was, I think, let me see if I can go back to Kevin or Raphael. They're about, like I said, these are the exceptional students that happen to finish. And the ones that did exceptionally well are quite a few. Now, I'm going to show you a portfolio just to have an idea, because this is also part of the things you're going to be submitting at the end. This is for a student called Raphael, and again, a Cameroonian student as well. The portfolio at the end of the day, you know, would have to be a high-end portfolio where you're kind of showing your work. This is in Boaflix. This is the content part, which you guys are going to learn, of course, and then showing parts of that into what you've created for your app in your portfolio. And this portfolio, we actually put it on our website, because we're even constructing a new website where we're putting all the students that really put in that extra effort and you eventually become startup founders, to all the connectors we have locally and globally. So once they come in to see a specific project, they can see the students, developers that have been completing that project with an exceptional high at the end. So your portfolio is going to be there, and we're going to be creating for you a generic high-end CV, which I will talk about later on. So that's going to be in our new website for students that are highly exceptional or students that put in that extra effort. Another thing I want to talk about real quick before I let you guys go and see if you have any questions was I want you to start getting yourself ready for YouTube, because I will be making in the video, probably in the part 2 of this video, how to set up your YouTube, because you need to have the YouTube so you can put the video content that's going to be connecting to your app in here, the business plan. So I just need you to just have a blank, just make sure you are on you have a channel, or at least your profile on YouTube has a channel, and you don't have to do anything, and just wait for the video until I explain to you what you're going to do and how you're going to set it up. So it's a really clear process. So there's a lot of things involved here. We're going to try as much as possible to get them finished and done properly. So I think now I will come back to the class. Okay, this brings us to the end now. Do we have any questions regarding anything? No? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording because I don't know. I'm going to stop the recording.